Season 2 update has been out for quite a few days now, and we've got a good understanding of how the meta is setting after the introduction of Emma Frost and the changes to the existing heroes. And this video is going to go over 3 heroes in each category that you should be trying to use to make sure you can rank up as quickly as possible. Kicking it off with the Vanguards first, and we're starting off with Groot, who in season 1.5 was incredibly strong, and now he's still just as strong in season 2 because he had no changes to this character whatsoever. Now, what makes him incredibly strong is that he can block off certain parts of the map, which allows your team to get a few extra seconds in when stalling the enemy team, which is incredibly useful on domination points and convoy maps. But not only that, he blocks in enemy players as well by dealing damage to them with his walls. He can also block damage coming in with his walls. He can also cut off enemy healing as well with his walls. He's got so much potential. Not only that, he's got some of the highest HP in the entire game, and if you're getting healed as well, you pretty much don't die on the battlefield with Groot, and that's what makes him incredibly strong. And all the pros are using him, and he's not that hard to master. It does take a little bit of skill to understand which wall you need to use when and how to place them as quickly as possible. But once you've got that down, you can pretty much start having a good amount of impact with Groot almost immediately, and that is what's great about Groot. Not to mention, he's got one of the best ultimates in the entire game at the moment, especially at closing in enemies and combining it with other ultimates with your teammates. Let's leave my Magneto bias aside for this one, and we do have the Thing up next. Now, this guy is pretty much good at most things that are important in this game. First of all, he can shut down dive with his charge attack and his slam down to the ground. Also, his ultimate shuts down dive as well. Not to mention, he's great at peeling with his jump ability. Not to mention that is also used very well to escape. It did get a slight nerf with the season 2 update, but that has not changed the pick rate of this hero or the impact of this hero whatsoever. Everyone still likes using the Thing, and for good reason. Not to mention, he's a great frontline tank, and he's good at displacing enemy players as well. Again, his charge can be used in many different ways, and he just outputs a raw amount of damage with his haymaker and his primary attack as well. So when it comes to frontline brawling, he's definitely extremely solid, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of this next hero, and the Thing is one of the best at countering this hero that we're going to talk about right now. And that is Emma Frost. Now, Emma Frost is the new tank that we got with season 2, and she's good at pretty much everything, to be honest with you. Now, first of all, she can shield tank because she does have a 500 HP shield, and that is great because you can work alongside Magneto or Groot if you want to have that double shield tank kind of thing going on, which a lot of people do like to have in their team synergies. Not to mention, in her diamond form, she can brawl tank like the best of them, and she's got tons of one-shot combos. But not to mention, she can output tons of damage in that form to other high HP targets, such as tanks, of course. So she's great at taking out other tanks as well. Now, what makes her even more powerful than all of this is the fact that she can counter basically everything in this game. She's almost the best dive counter. She's the best CC counter, and that is with her diamond form. She can counter other ultimates. That's with her own ultimate. She can also counter just raw damage output with her shield. She can basically counter everything in this game, and that's what I think makes her incredibly strong. And I won't be surprised if she gets her nerf relatively soon, if I'm being honest, because she can do everything. Next up, we've got Strategists, and for the first one, we have the strongest raw healing output strategist in the game, and that is Luna Snow. If you just want to heal your team as much as possible and make sure they stay alive, then Luna Snow is by far the best hero in the game to do that. And not only does she have hit scan attack, so you could heal from almost infinite range, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. So even when you're coming back from spawn and you're just trying to shoot out heals, you could still land a couple of heals on your teammates or even deal damage as well. That hit scan attack works extremely well on flying heroes when you're trying to kill them, And Luna Snow, by just standing still and firing out shots, can easily take out any of the flying heroes in the game, which I find absolutely insane. She does have a slight dive counter as well with her freeze bubble if you know how to use it correctly, but I wouldn't rely too much on that if I'm being perfectly honest with you. She has a strong amount of self-sustain as well, which I do want to mention when it comes to using her clap ability. That not only gives you some insane damage output, but also it keeps you alive, and it's one of the best abilities at keeping your team alive. And that is what Luna Snow does extremely well. So when there's so much damage getting poured into your team, you can out heal it with Luna Snow, which is incredibly amazing with this hero. And not to mention, her ultimate is one of the best ultimates in the entire game. Not to mention that you're getting a healing boost, but you also get the damage boost as well that you can combo with other teammates' ultimates, which I find incredibly powerful if you have Namors or any other kind of damage dealing ultimates on your team. So like I said, Luna Snow is incredibly strong. Next up, we have Loki, and I almost hesitated to not put Loki on this list because of the amount of skill he requires, but I'm going to be honest with you, he's going to be insanely good for Season 2, and that is just because a lot of the other strategists also got nerfed too. But when it comes to Loki, he does almost everything incredibly well if you know how to use him correctly, and that is the main thing with this hero. You need to know when to use his clones, and output damage with his clones is good when you have them available. Healing with his clones is amazing when you have them available as well. You need to know when to use his invisibility to escape. You need to know when to switch to a clone to escape. You need to know when to use his lamps to counter a dive. There's so many things and so many nuances to this character that you need to learn, but once you have them down, you could pretty much counter everything in this game, and that's what makes him insane. He's a great counter to a lot of strong attacks, especially ultimate attacks as well. And not to mention, I think one thing people do forget about Loki, and the reason why he's so strong, is the fact that all of these abilities are basically self-sustain, and the fact that he never really dies in a fight, unlike some of the other strategists where they don't really have strong self-sustain. Loki can stay alive through every single fight, pretty much always, and just having one healer available all the time in your team makes him incredibly strong, because if he's not dead, he's of value to you. And I think that's one thing that people forget when they talk about Loki, because that is one of the reasons why he's so good in this game right now. Not to mention with Loki that his ultimate is one of the best in the game as well. Being able to double up on a DPS ultimate or a strategist ultimate when either you need to put out way more damage to make sure you get a team wipe, or whether you need to keep your own team alive even longer when your strategist ultimates are no longer enough. Or you can even combo it with some of your teammates' ultimates, and knowing when to do each one of these is super important with Loki. And like I said, he requires a lot of skill, but when you have a Loki on your team, you do know how you feel safe, and that is what Loki provides you on your team when you know how to use him correctly. Moving to the opposite end of skill required for a strategist, and we have Rocket. Now, Rocket is absolutely insane, even though he does require low amounts of skill to understand this hero. But his healing output now has been buffed with the Season 2 update, so his orbs move faster and they do more healing, which is absolutely insane. He does do a decent amount of damage with his primary attack. If you're up close, you can deal so much damage with Rocket and even take out tanks with how much damage he can do, which I find incredibly strong as supporting your team, especially if you're close to the fight. Now, he also has a lot of good anti-dive movement as well, which technically got nerfed with this update, but you can still do it if you know to time your jetpacks correctly and use your wall run mechanics a little bit more than we have to now. But like I said, he does have the movement tech there to avoid dives and avoid just damage in general. And what is also insane now is the fact that his ultimate is one of the best in the game. Now, this is the definition of a strategist and not just a healer, because he outputs overshields and damage to your team whilst he's using his ultimate. And that is incredibly powerful at winning team fights, especially if you know when to pair it with your teammates' ultimates. That is super strong, man. And the fact that it's got a super good radius and it lasts such a long period of time as well, you could pretty much team this up with any of your teammates' main abilities or their ultimates to just basically get insane amounts of team wipes, and it keeps them alive throughout the whole duration as well. Not to mention he's got his BRB beacon, which can bring back teammates as well. So he's got tons of utility. Now, if you think about him like a strategist and not just a healer, this guy has the best strategist tech in the entire game. Next up, we have Moon Knight, and boy was I wrong about this hero because I put him in B tier in my tier list, then I updated the comment section to say that he's actually S tier. So if you do want to check out that video, you can. But like I said, this guy outputs some insane amounts of damage now. Now, who would have thought just upping the bullet velocity on his primary attack makes him just incredibly strong now? Because essentially now you don't need to rely on constantly having unks to basically deal damage with Moon Knight. And I think that's a really good change for this hero. They never upped his damage or anything like that. They essentially just upped the bullet velocity, and now he's incredibly powerful. Now, what I find so good about that is, like I said, if you've got good aim, you can actually do well with Moon Knight now. And obviously the unks do help, but you just use them as a tool. They're not his main kit, like I said. So that is an ability that you use to deal a bit more damage when you need it. But if you find that enemies are clustered together, then Moon Knight is incredibly strong now, especially with his primary attack as it bounces off of enemies, especially now with a lot of players knowing how to play this game, and they usually tend to stick together a lot more. Moon Knight is incredibly strong for that. And then also having his Moonblade have the ability to give you overshields allows him to kind of sit on the ground and fight for a little bit longer as well, which he wasn't able to do before. It was always high ground plays, and obviously you do want to play him on high ground, don't get me wrong, but the fact that he can help and support the team a bit more, I think makes him incredibly strong right now. Not to mention you can basically build up ult charge like crazy with this hero. Like, it's so easy to build up ultimate charge, and I feel like he's going to be like the Star Lord of this season, where you can just constantly get his ultimate all the time. And that is what's going to be incredibly strong with Moon Knight. This guy can pretty much do it all, not to mention his movement tech is actually pretty decent now as well, with the zip line being a little bit quicker. And I think this guy is just super, super good right now, man. And you definitely need to try him out if you haven't already. Next up, we have Scarlet Witch. And I think people are underestimating how good Scarlet Witch is right now. And at the end of season 1.5, people did pick her up and use her, but now I still think she's incredibly strong, and she doesn't require too much skill either. All you need to know is that you need to combo your primary attack with your secondary attack, and that is pretty much it for the most part. Now, she's not going to output nowhere near as much damage as some of the other heroes that you could find in the DPS category, but her DPS is very consistent, so you're not needing loads of aim or loads of mechanical skill to use this hero. The only thing you need to understand how to use is essentially her teleport to escape from fights when you need it, and you kind of want to be using high ground and use your teleport to kind of stay above the fight to try and deal damage. And also her stun is incredibly strong as well, which I find one of the most annoying things to play against, but it's one of the best abilities to use when you are Scarlet Witch. So she's got so many tools to either keep herself alive or deal tons of damage in general, or just annoy the enemy team in general. And she can take out dive as well because of her primary attack is lock on essentially, so she's a great counter to dive as well. And then not to mention her team up now with Doctor Strange, and if you do find a Doctor Strange in season 2, which there won't be many of, by the way, then she does output some insane amounts of damage, by the way, with that team up. It's actually really good. So if you do find a Doctor Strange, then obviously go Scarlet Witch because you can get that combo. And then her ultimate is decent, but people know a lot of counters to it now, and obviously some of the new heroes also have counters. If you know how to use her ultimate well, then you're going to get really good value from it. You're essentially going to get a free team wipe, but that is not always the case the higher the rank you go. But like I said, getting value off of her base kit is incredibly strong right now, and she's super good. Now, obviously we have our Winter Soldiers and our Namors, but those guys are relatively boring to play now, let's be honest. So let's talk about one of the best tank busters in the game. And no, it's not Wolverine, it's actually Iron Fist. Iron Fist is incredibly strong right now. There's a clip that I played and Iron Fist just absolutely destroys through Emma Frost in diamond form when he's got his fast punches. It's ridiculous. This guy is so good if you know how to use him well. He does require a bit of skill, but is nowhere near as much skill you need for Spider-Man or Black Panther or any of those other kind of heroes. This guy, you can just rotate his abilities relatively well and do good with him. And not to mention, he's got some of the best survivability by just healing himself up. So you don't need to run after health packs. You don't need to wait for your teammates to heal you up. You don't need to do any of that stuff. Just pop your shield, block a couple of punches, heal some damage, leave, heal yourself up, come back and do the whole thing all over again. It's incredibly strong, and if you know how to use him well, you're going to get insane value out of him, and you're going to be seeing him a lot more in season 2 because of how powerful the tank meta is right now and how powerful all the tanks are. You're going to need someone to output that raw amount of damage to them, and this is the guy to do the job. Now, Wolverine's still pretty decent, but I think Iron Fist is just so much better right now at doing that job because a lot of the heroes cannot be moved like the Thing or Emma Frost in Diamond form. So trying to like kidnap them and escape with Wolverine is just a bit too much tech involved and a bit crazy, and it's not always going to work. Whereas just Iron Fist raw punching power is ridiculously good. So like I said, I think Iron Fist is the best tank buster in the game for season 2. There we have it. Those are 3 heroes you need to learn in each of the different categories for season 2 of Marvel Rivals. We've obviously missed out quite a few heroes as there's tons in the games to pick from, but I wanted to pick 3 in each category that were very unique and ones that people don't really use all that often as well, and that you will get very good value from within season 2. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching.